You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 9 o'clock. Sanmonani, Dumelang, Bonjour, Goeiemorgen, Dimasheroni Abodzi. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show on this 5th day of the most incredible month of August, the month where the most beautiful humans were really born, if we're being honest. And I'm not kidding you. Check who was born in August in your circle. You will find that they are the most amazing people you have ever met. Huh? Beautiful in and out. Like, I even believe that God was biased here. He favored August babies too much. Too much. But we ain't complaining. We're happy to be a blessing to the world. Am I lying? Where are my August babies, fellow babies at? Am I lying? Do you not know the most amazing humans that were born in August? 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. I'm not debating this though. Here's a question. Why is President Jacob Zuma so obsessed with President Cyril Ramaphosa? Why does he hate him so much? You know, I've come across politicians who hate each other publicly, but that's theatrics, that's optics. Behind closed doors, they're actually cordial with each other. But the hatred Zuma seems to have on President Cyril Ramaphosa is quite scary. And I'll take you through a few things President Zuma has done or said to demonstrate to you why I think he detests President Ramaphosa or he's obsessed with him. I mean, the latest now is that even though the former president and the MK party lost their direct access case in the Constitutional Court last week over the president's decision to put on special leave Senzo Mkhunu and appoint Firoz Kachalia as police minister. He now wants the president to reverse the decision now before Friday, or he will approach the courts, which is fine. In fact, I think this helps us, to also know whether these decisions by the president were taken correctly according to the law. I mean, I always appreciate constitutional or legislative clarity. And then the MK party's statement says, if Ramaphosa doesn't resign or doesn't reverse the decision by Friday or doesn't resign by Friday, they'll approach the courts. But they're also saying if members of parliament don't vote in support of the motion of no confidence, then the anger of South Africans will be justified. Are you kidding me? What are you playing at here? What are you trying to do? Yeah? And then the statement says the MK party will continue to hold peaceful protests in support of General Mkhwanazi. They just throw it in there. Do you agree that Zuma hates Ramaphosa or is obsessed with him? Or do you think Zuma is just trying to hold President Cyril Ramaphosa accountable? And if you agree that he's obsessed or he hates him, where do you think this anger comes from? Like, do you understand this hatred? Does he hate what Ramaphosa stands for? Does he truly believe the ANC under Ramaphosa is captured? And if so, why direct the anger towards the president and not to the whole ANC leadership? Because that's what I sometimes find missing. I think he's obsessed with President Cyril Ramaphosa. I think he hates him. Do you think that's justified? If you agree, You can comment on 011-883-0702. You can send your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. You're welcome to send us your comments on YouTube as well. You can just go to the 702 YouTube page if you're not already watching us on YouTube. I'll read your comments from there as well. Here's another question. Why do we continue to be blinded by loyalty? Some of us. Something shocked me this weekend as I was reading the Sunday, papers. There was a story about the suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner, Shadrack Sibiya, who has gone to the lawyers and is suing or intends to sue General Mkhwanazi for what he said during that press briefing, calling him, someone who's associated with criminals or a criminal. And basically, he's suing him for defamation, right? Now, this journalist then from the City Press newspaper contacts General Mkhwanazi and asks General Mkhwanazi a question like any other journalist would, right? If you're doing a story about someone who's like taking somebody to court, you're going to ask for their right of reply, comment. And then General Mkhwanazi responds with, and I quote, according to the City Press, he responds with, and I quote here, "You have made it your mission to test my patience. Out of 68 million people in this country, over 150,000 SAPS members and over 30 SAPS senior police officers. But you chose to ask me this question. Why is it important to you to get my opinion on matters that doesn't concern me? Your independence as a journalist is questionable. I hope you're not one of the beneficiaries from the crime intelligence slush fund and drug money," end quote. Now, I find this to be wild. A journalist asks Mkhwanazi questions to get a response, and then the General Mkhwanazi responds with questions that the journalist may be a beneficiary of drug money or crime intelligence slush fund, all for asking questions. How do you justify that? I think that's ridiculous. Not because you have to now question the credibility of General Mkhwanazi or what he has said. No, because he has responded in this way. And I would still find it wild if it was any other person, Senzo Mchunu, Shadrack Sibiya, President Cyril Ramaphosa, whoever is a public official. It's okay for you to lose your cool. I mean, in a way, in some way with a journalist, fine, I can get that. To make assumptions that a journalist is receiving money from a crime intelligence slush fund or from drug cartels just because they've asked you questions is ridiculous. And I worry that we're getting into a space where now allegations are just going to be thrown at people. I mean, I'm apparently captured myself because I tweeted this morning and I said, this is something I find wild. Now it's, yeah, you are also captured. Hence I'm asking, blind loyalty. Eh? So you can't criticize something that somebody else that you love, that you appreciate so much does. Do you find it okay for General Mkhwanazi to make an assumption like this without any evidence? Do you think that's justified? So if I call him myself and I say, hey, Shadrack Sibiya is taking you to court for defamation, what's your response? And you can say no comment, that's fine. And he responds like that. Would that be justified? I'm just surprised that sometimes we get so obsessed with people that we end up justifying nonsense. I think it's ridiculous that anybody in public office will make an allegation like that against a journalist without proving it. That's very dangerous. And then afterwards, that conversation was leaked. This poor journalist has now been attacked by people. Why are you harassing our general? So journalists can't do their job now? Because you are going to think that, oh, my fave, my lovely general here is being attacked. That's crazy. That is really, really, really crazy. If there's a journalist who's receiving some drug money or is a beneficiary of a crime intelligence slush fund, then General Mkhwanazi must expose that, must come out with evidence of that. And not just make a suggestion like that. I wonder what your view is on that. You can also call us on 011-883-0702.
Clement Manyathela. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM.
Hola Clemza, Mkhwanazi Mamelodi.
That's the show.
I
coming
also
up.
believe that former President Jacob Zuma truly dislike current President Cyril Ramaphosa. But I think it has to do with the fact that nobody knows who Cyril really is in the ANC. Many people believe he was just parachuted. That's just my take, but I share your sentiments. The hate is deep.
Hi there. Good morning. 702 listeners. Good morning, Clement. This Jacob Zuma issue, I agree with you. The guy is just being spiteful and angry, and it really doesn't make sense. Whatever he's playing at, I don't think it's going to work out. Court after court, it's just futile effort to try and evade his own court cases, to delay them further until the guy eventually passes away. Sorry to say that, but it's just a futile effort, and I believe you. I agree with you 100%. My name is Stanley. Thanks, Clemens.
Yeah, Clement, this is Cyril Zuma. Clement, there's a lot happening. If people can't get their way in trying to, do whatever they want to do, they always resort to either violence or anything else. In this case, Zuma is fighting his battles, through courts and stuff, Yeah, chickens are coming home, to roost.
Look, and I do think that, former President Jacob Zuma has every right to approach the courts. As I said, yes, there are cases where it's Stalingrad approach, but there are also cases where I'm like, actually, I'm interested to know, I think legislative and constitutional clarity works for all of us, because sometimes presidents think they can do as they please, because there's a lot of power that's concentrated in that office of the president. So it helps us when some matters go to court, because then we're able to, for instance, Zuma has been taken to court himself over some decisions he's taken when he was in government, including the removal of Pravin Gordhan. Remember? And we used to think that, the president can do as he pleases. But what we found from the courts was, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I'm paraphrasing, the decisions of the president, even the decisions of parliament must be rational. So it doesn't mean you can just act as you please. You can just wake up and take whatever decision. There must still be some level of rationality there. So I do appreciate where sometimes maybe they need clarity. But I think we have seen instances where you can just see here that, there's an obsession here, or there's really, really serious hatred. AB, you calling us from Joburg. What do you want to say about Mkhwanazi? Good morning, General Mkhwanazi. Hi.
Yes. Morning, Clement, and the listeners. Clement, my take is that General Mkhwanazi has every right to ask questions, because at the moment the focus is on him, and every effort is made for him to start spilling the beans as to where he gets information from and who's sponsored by who. That is reserving for the actual inquiry that is still forthcoming. And for him to ask the journalist, because I believe he asked, "Are you?"
No, he didn't ask. Let me read you what he said.
Yeah.
Can I read you what he said?
Correct.
He said, "You've made it a mission to test my patience," and then speaks, and then towards the end he says, "Your independence as a journalist is questionable. I hope you are not one of the beneficiaries from the crime intelligence slush fund and drug money," end quote. So let me ask you this, AB. The independence of a journalist is questionable. Why would he question that when the journalist has just asked for his right of reply?
Well, he would ask that because the minute he answers the correct way, or the minute he answers with the truth is already out. So he's got nothing to tell the commission.
No, but he can still say, why is he not saying no comment then?
No. He wanted to engage because probably he wanted the journalist to respond in a certain way. Excuse my voices in the morning. Maybe he wanted the journalist to respond. So
to
that
say what?
he can actually open the can of worms.
No, but wait, he's questioning the independence of a journalist who's asking for his right of reply. Where is he getting that from? What's the basis of that?
Yeah, you know, Clement, we live in a very murky world. And we living in a world where corruption and everything, and malpractices has infested the core of the society. So if I was in issues, I would not, reserve that question. I would suggest the same question too.
Why? But based on what is what I'm asking. So, AB, for instance, if I'm General Mkhwanazi and AB, you're a journalist and you're asking me for my right of reply, and I, as the general, have some information that you're a journalist that somehow received some monies from a suspicious bank account, I can make that claim, right? And not only make that claim, I go further and I actually lay a complaint, or I even contact your editor. That's actually a rational way to do it. So in this case, are we going to go around accusing people of their independence being questionable because they're asking questions?
Well, you know, Clement, my take is that General Mkhwanazi has done his own investigations. And in those investigations, there are deep-rooted suspicions. And there are also deep-rooted links,
So every journalist is going to be looked at like that?
Journalists have been used everywhere. Journalists were used during
every journalist?
Not every journalist.
So why is he making an assumption that this one is?
He must have a reason for that.
Then I think it's very irresponsible of him. If he's got reason to believe that this journalist has received drug money, it's irresponsible of him not to do anything about it. It is.
Yeah.
The same way that it is irresponsible of him to go and say the judiciary is captured and he doesn't go and give the evidence and lay a complaint, because the judiciary says, hey, please lay a complaint so that the Judicial Commission can investigate. It's irresponsible to have information like that actually destabilizes the very core of our constitutional democracy, and you don't do anything about it except to make an allegation.
Well, these allegations that he makes are still to be tested.
True.
We know that commission of inquiry still needs to sit with him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying from where I'm standing, let's give him a chance. Let him spill the beans at the right time. The right time being when the commission starts asking questions.
Okay, so do you and I agree, AB? If he goes to that commission and he doesn't give us any evidence that this journalist may have received this drug money, then that's problematic. Can we agree on that?
Yes, we agree.
Okay, great. AB, I'm going to save your number. As soon as he arrives there at the inquiry and he concludes his testimony and he doesn't give us any evidence of this journalist receiving any drug monies, then I'm going to call you back on air. Wonderful. AB, thank you so much for your call. Chief Makanya, you want to talk about Jacob Zuma. Good morning.
Good morning, Bob Manyathela.
So, go ahead.
I think this is the wrong question. I think we need to ask what has the president done to Zuma as well for him to respond. Now, if I was working with you, Manyathela, and you were my successor, and you then tarnish my legacy, and you want to finish my legacy, I would see that as an act of war, and I will engage you. Now, let's look at that. TM had a row with Zuma, but to now, he's got a legacy in Africa. Zuma utilized it. He made sure that he can go anywhere in Africa. If he needed to send him to Africa, he sent him to missions. That didn't happen with Zuma. Zuma could not even go. If you remember, there was a situation where Chief Mandela was sent to, I think, Uganda to go and stop him from going to a vacation. Even our former president, our deputy president, Paul Mashatile, was sent to an envoy in one of the countries to stop him. Even Swaziland was engaged.
Wait, so are you saying Zuma is still angry about stuff that happens in the underground?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I really don't think so. If Cyril did not do what he did to... I worked very closely with Ubaba. After
what did Cyril do?
Left office. Sorry?
What did Cyril Ramaphosa do to him?
But I've just said to you.
So that's why I'm asking.
He cancelled his legacy. His legacy is non-existent.
The 9 wasted years.
Yeah, the 9 wasted years.
Okay.
After. I'm talking about not the 9 wasted years, Manyathela, you're being naughty. I'm talking about after he left office. When you are a president, a former president, in order for your legacy to carry on, like TM's legacy was Renaissance, African Renaissance.
Yeah.
And that is what Zuma helped Mbeki build.
Yeah. So Zuma didn't go after Mbeki and criticize his tenure. So Ramaphosa started criticizing Zuma's tenure. That's why you think Zuma is angry at him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
was it not justified?
From going into... No, I don't think so. Not in the way that it was done.
All right, let's hear what the other listeners think. Chief Makanya, thank you so much for your comment. He says, no, it wasn't justified. The president was criticizing Zuma. What do you think? Huh? But also, what do you think of August babies? Because I really think that they're best humans ever, Amo.
Yes, I very much agree with you, Clement, on the August babies. Definitely there are some of the best people around. Today is my wife's birthday. Her name is Tembela Nala. And certainly, in fact, myself and the kids do call her God's favorite child. So, because she seems to have definitely found that extra bit of favor from God.
Extra?
Anyway, just wanted to wish her a happy birthday. My name is Thulani Nala, based in Boksburg.
Oh, Thulani, happy birthday to your wife. I don't think it's extra favor. I really think that, and I feel sorry for, of course, other people who were born in other months, because I feel like God was so, he was so unfairly too much. He favored us as the August babies. He was like, these ones, I'm going to make them the best humans. Tell me right now, you don't know someone was born in August around your life who is so special.
Everyone is special, Clement.
No, they're special, and then there's August baby special.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just going to have to disagree there.
Amo, do you not know someone who's just incredible who was born in August?
People are incredible, whether or not they are born in August. Okay. In fact, I feel like July babies are the cream of the crop.
Because you're almost close to us. God was already in a happy mood when He created you guys.
I'm not even born in July.
So on YouTube, Ngaz says, Clement, as an August baby myself, I share your sentiments. My birthday is on the 20th. Okay, wonderful. My birthday is on the 10th of August, is this coming Sunday. And then another one says, hey Clement, you are so right. This is on YouTube as well. Keegan says, you're so right. Just something special about August baby. It's my birthday today, so I will be celebrating life and health. Oh, Keegan on YouTube, thank you. And yeah, happy birthday, you little special August baby. It's 9:31.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
23 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Hi, good morning, Clement. Hey, my bro. My mother-in-law is also celebrating her 80th birthday on the 10th.
Oh, amazing.
Next week. Not next week, this weekend.
Sunday.
So, happy birthday, guys. Happy birthday. I'm all celebrating mine on the 12th. Next week, Tuesday. Thank you, Baba.
August babies, the blessings to this hectic world.
Hi, Clement. I agree with you, sir. I completely agree with you. I'm an August baby. Birthday is on the 14th. My friend and also former colleague, his birthday is on the 15th, Sean. So, yeah, I agree with you. August babies are just special. And, happy birthday to all the August babies. And obviously mine still coming in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
Cheers, man.
Why does it sound like it's the August babies talking about how special they are? It's beginning to sound awkward. Where are the other people to attest to that? Yeah? Where are the other people who are going to say, hey, I know an August baby and they are so cool? Huh? Where are you guys at? Don't hate. It's 20 minutes before 10.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
Surprise and Mandla, I see your calls. I'll start with you. I want to quickly take in Nhlanhla, who is the MK Party spokesperson. Nhlanhla, how are you doing?
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to your listeners. I'm good, thanks.
So I see that on your statement, when you talk about President Cyril Ramaphosa answering these questions, resigning as well, you said that as the MK Party, you feel like if members of parliament don't vote in support of the motion of no confidence in the president, then the anger of South Africans will be justified. What do you mean by that?
Well, you'll recall that on the 13th of July, Clement, when the president then made an announcement, it was nothing more than a catastrophic anticlimax, where South Africans expected the president to take, serious decisions and to take them into their confidence and fire the person in question, being the Minister of Police then, Mr. Mkhwanazi. Instead, the president went on to announce a judicial commission of inquiry. I remember also one of the things that we're asking is, in light of General Mkhwanazi's issues that he raised, or the accusations, is that he did say that the judiciary itself is complicit and implicated. Now, you would have found that even SC Katz in the court said that, you can have a judicial commission of inquiry, you can just have a commission of inquiry. So why, President, do you then call on the establishing of a judicial commission of inquiry? And you know very well that the same judiciary in this case seems to be implicated. So we just felt that, and South Africans, you would have seen, were very disappointed at the announcement made by the president. Instead, he refers to Section 91.3c of appointing Professor Kachalia in an acting role.
I get that, right? And we've had conversations on the show about even some of the legal points that you raised, and of course the presidency raised on the show. I suppose what surprised me is that, like, the anger of South Africans will be justified. So help me clarify it. You don't necessarily mean that if South Africans somehow, take to the streets and they start being violent, for instance, that would be justified. That's not what you mean, yeah?
No. We're not a violent party at all. I mean, we're a law-abiding citizen. As much as we raise serious concerns about the Constitution, we still follow the law to the letter. So we're not in any way calling for South Africans to act in a violent manner. What we're saying is that we had a three-pronged program, which is 1, in Parliament, motion of no confidence; 2, the courts; 3, the streets, in a form of demonstrations, and peacefully so.
Okay, all right. So we probably can expect some demonstrations if maybe even that motion doesn't pass. All right, let's wait and see. Nhlanhla, thank you so much for coming through, MK Party spokesperson. I just wanted that clarity around what they meant on their statement when they say if he doesn't resign or if members of parliament don't vote in support of the motion, then the anger of South Africans will be justified.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Mandla, you are in Cape Town. What are your thoughts? Good morning. You want to talk about General Mkhwanazi? Hey, Mandla.
Hello?
Hey.
Yebo.
Sure, Puti. Go ahead,
Baba. Yeah, before I talk about Mkhwanazi, can I talk about Zuma?
If you'll be quick, because I've got a lot of calls I want to take.
Okay, let's leave Zuma. My brother, Mkhwanazi is right to suggest that to the journalists, because mainstream media is toxic in South Africa. Mainstream media want us South Africans to be homogeneous in our way of thinking, They direct us to a certain direction that all of us must think that way, At times, most of them, they want to be spokespersons of government. And they want us all to behave that way. Once you have a different view, they start to attack you, they start to sideline you, and all of that. So it is good for Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi to ask those questions, For instance, during the negotiations of the GNU, the mainstream media against the DA, that now the DA is busy wanting positions, cabinet positions. They don't care about South Africa. instead of asking the ANC, why don't you give the DA what they deserve according to the votes? Give them the ministries that they deserve, you know? Instead of attacking the ANC, they attack the DA.
Yeah.
And they want us all South Africans to think that the same way. So Mkhwanazi is right to ask.
What is
question.
mainstream media, Mandla? Does that include me on 702?
It does.
Okay, then you are wrong then about what happened with the DA, because you are arguing that mainstream media didn't ask the ANC that question. That's wrong, because I have asked the ANC that question, and I know of other journalists who have done so equally.
Yeah, my brother. Look, Clement. If 90% of something wrong is happening, it doesn't mean that 10% is not recognized, and we don't see the 10% that is doing right things. But like the ANC, we say ANC is corrupt, but not all members of the ANC are corrupt.
Yeah, I say that because that would be factually incorrect to say the whole of the ANC is corrupt. The same way that it's factually incorrect to say mainstream media is. So I would rather say some in the mainstream media or some in the ANC are corrupt, because that's more factual than just making a generalized statement that doesn't make sense. Because then I will say...
But if majority, like say, black people are poor, we've got Ramaphosa who are billionaires, Petrus Motsepe who are billionaires, but we are making a statement that says black people are poor. You know, and we are allowed to make that statement.
Yeah.
Because majority of black people are poor.
Yes, but not all.
Because of the majority that are poor, we are allowed to make a statement to say black people are poor.
I hear you, Mandla, but not all of them are poor. So I'm saying I think it's important, especially when you get to the specifics. For instance, in this case, to bring it back to General Mkhwanazi. General Mkhwanazi has every right to react whichever he wants to a journalist. But if he's going to question the independence of a journalist and make suggestions that they are receiving some drug money, then they better have evidence to suggest that. And it can't be based on, but mainstream media behaves in a weird way. That's unfair. I could have been the one that sent this message to General Mkhwanazi. He could have responded to me in the same way. That would have still been wrong. Even if it was you, Mandla, if you were maybe a journalist anywhere else. You cannot make a suggestion like that unless you've got evidence to prove it. That's my worry. So
he might have the evidence.
Okay, we'll wait.
The journalist should not take offense of that particular statement if he knows or she knows that he or she is innocent, because we know that the money that is going around, you know, so drug cartels from the state security agency, like what happened to the fees must fall, you know, and them bribing the leaders of the fees must fall, because of we know that money, statements like those must be made, and journalists do not take offense of that.
I think when it comes from a public official, that is very important. I don't think a journalist must take offense. There are many things that are said about me. I don't take offense from them, but I will raise them. I think when you're a public official, especially in a position where a lot of the things that you are saying, people are taking it now as gospel truth, and this is not to question what he has said, because now we're beginning to sound like when we talk about the Middle East, where when you criticize Israel, then you are anti-Semitic. Now that's a case here where when you find one thing that's been done wrong here against General Mkhwanazi, then you are captured. You must be receiving drug money as well, because how dare you criticize and disagree with this person on this one thing, even though you may have agreed with them on many other things. I'm sorry, I'm not part of group thought. That's not something that I'm going to subject myself to. I'm an independent thinker. When I see something that's right, the same way that I actually defended him just last night on Twitter when Glenis Breitenberg was telling EWN that why did Mkhwanazi go to the media when he didn't come to parliament? And I asked, but he did come to parliament. Similarly so, when he's going to behave in a weird way that contradicts how I think a public official should act, I will raise that out. And I'm not raising it because I'm taking offense on behalf of a journalist. I'm raising it because I can see that it can be irresponsible given where it's intended and how it's going to be received. That's why right now, people are calling journalists who are questioning this. That's why SANEF, where is SANEF? Are they going to release a statement? I bet you they're scared themselves. They're probably scared themselves. And that's an environment that's been created. What country is this where now people are scared to, like, if General Mkhwanazi does something wrong tomorrow, people are going to be scared to speak out because how dare you touch him? I'm sorry, I don't operate like that. I say what is truth. Whether I like the person or I hate the person, I say what is truth and I will say what I think is problematic. And in this case, unless General Mkhwanazi has evidence to suggest that this journalist has received monies from drug lords, it's irresponsible of him not to do anything about it, because we don't need journalists who do that. Expose him now and many others who are actually compromised like that, as opposed to make a suggestion like that people are going to take and start attacking the poor journalists. That is irresponsible.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
8 minutes before 10 o'clock. I had clips that I needed to play you, but we couldn't, well, we could have played them, but there was just too many calls that I thought, let's just go straight to the calls. Let me take you back to 4 years ago, Abel. This is when the former president, Jacob Zuma, wrote a scathing letter. It was unprecedented, never seen before. Wrote a scathing letter to President Cyril Ramaphosa. This is after President Ramaphosa remember when he said, ANC is corruption accused number one. Ooh, Zuma was fuming. And I remember the story broke at the time. I was working on ENCA. I was reading the news in the afternoon and the story broke during my show. Let's move to this now. Former President Jacob Zuma has penned a scathing letter to President Cyril Ramaphosa. He's questioning Ramaphosa's commitment to fighting corruption. Zuma also challenges Ramaphosa to come clean about financial donations for the campaign that won him the ANC presidency in 2017, better known as CR17. This, as the ANC's National Executive Committee starts a meeting that's expected to discuss widespread corruption implicating party members and employees. Let's chat about that letter with ENCA's political editor, Vuyo Mvoko. Vuyo, thank you so much for your time. I've just finished reading this thick 12-page letter, and I was looking at how the former president characterizes that letter that Cyril Ramaphosa wrote to ANC members and leaders. He calls it a public relations exercise. He says it's unforgivable, fundamentally flawed, devastating, it's a betrayal, a cardinal error. What is he concerned about? So that's what happened back in 5 years ago, when the President Zuma wrote a letter. And then, remember at the last ANC conference, I remember we were broadcasting live, the Clement Manyathela Show was live from the ANC conference. And Jacob Zuma decided to take Ramaphosa to court, like on the eve of the ANC conference. It was so bizarre. You could tell that this was being done to try and discredit him. Of course, that failed. But do you remember that time as well? We even interviewed Zuma about it. I want to bring in Zuma now, who's the spokesperson for the Jacob Zuma Foundation. You may have seen yesterday the foundation tweeting a statement about President Cyril Ramaphosa being criminally charged. Mr. Manyi, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to your listeners.
So your statement says that the president has been charged in a private prosecution with the criminal offense of being an accessory after the fact in the crimes committed by Advocate Billy Downer. Just explain to us, when did you start this private prosecution process? And the reason I was asking Zanele Manyu, when did you start this process, is because, I mean, it was already like, why now on the eve of the ANC conference? And that's the things that make you think, is the former president obsessed with President Cyril Ramaphosa? Does he hate him that much? Huh? Here's what Julius Malema said during an interview on Politics with Tsidi Madia. Politricking with Tsidi Madia. Julius Malema spoke to Tsidi about Zuma and how he's just constantly after Ramaphosa.
And my engagement with the MK people, especially Ntlego, I was saying, the demand for Ramaphosa to be removed, it's immaterial now. We now have to capture the state power. and then operate together, the three of us, plus those who want to come with us. Through that operation, if Ramaphosa is for white capital and working with white capital, he will either release himself, or there could be a consensus amongst ourselves, including the ANC, that this guy must be removed through a motion of no confidence. So they say Zuma is a chess player. You can't insist on going to direction where you see you're not going to have any impact. There's sometimes you have to retreat in politics, even if you still know what you want to achieve. But to just say, till to date, Ramaphosa, I'm like, we're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, that's what Julius also was saying. Mandy, you calling from Eden Vale. Do you think that the former president is obsessed with President Ramaphosa?
Yes, good morning, Clement and the listeners. I definitely think that President Zuma is preoccupied with President Ramaphosa's. I think there's bitterness. I mean, if you look at how Zuma was, how he resigned, I think he still blames Ramaphosa for that. And, for him and Zuma and especially those that come from exile, I think they believe that they are entitled to be presidents, or to have one of their, one of those people being president. So, he hasn't accepted Ramaphosa as the president of the country, and he's continuously bickering, and he knows he's been the president of the country. He knows what channels he needs to take. I mean, if he's not happy, take him to court, just like he did with the other cases that he has taken Ramaphosa to court regarding the Billy Downer issue. So he must do that. He knows what the process is. He's also bitter. I mean, in terms of his current standing within the ANC, and if you look at what the previous ANC presidents have, their standing within the party and within the country, the likes of Mbeki, Mandela, the Lutulis, they have, their reputation still stands.
Yeah.
Zuma, having been kicked out of the party, his reputation as a former president.
But Mbeki was recalled as well, and yet he still, seems to have maintained some level of respect. Well, depending on how you even define that. But do we then blame Cyril Ramaphosa for how the reputation of former President Jacob Zuma has turned out to be? I don't know if that's fair. I got you though, Mandy. I hear what you say. Thank you for your thoughts. It's a minute before 10. Let's just wrap up the 702 open line. Yeah? Let's wrap up the 702 open line with some of the comments that came through, because I took more calls today than the voice notes. So let's just wrap up with these voice notes before we start our next conversation with the mayor of Mfuleni.
Morning, Clement. Morning to your listeners also. I don't think General Mkhwanazi is at fault here, because now he says that the journalist is testing his patience, So that clearly states that the journalist has been asking questions, and who knows, maybe General Mkhwanazi has been saying no comment, but now he's fed up and ends up giving that statement to the journalist, because now he doesn't know who's who now. He doesn't trust anyone. I'm pretty sure the guy has been getting thousands of calls since the statement he made. So I believe he was just fed up, just want to push away the journalist. Tabang here. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Tabang. But does what he say justified? So yes, you are fed up, you're frustrated, but is it justified to start questioning someone's independence based on the fact that they are constantly hounding you for comment? Is it justified to actually suggest that I hope you're not receiving money from some drug cartels? Please, guys. Sometimes we just defend the indefensible. By the way, the journalist contacted Mkhwanazi and said, what is your response to the letter of demand from General Sibia and its contents? Please respond by midday tomorrow. Actually, any journalist who works for especially a Sunday paper or any newspaper, in fact, that's how you actually set a timeline. Because someone was saying, yeah, but the journalist is being rude by setting the time. Actually, that's what happens, especially with newspapers. Like, you set a timeline. Like, if it's a Sunday newspaper, you will set a timeline and say, we would like your response to come on this time, right? And look, if this journalist was being arrogant or rude, I would still think that that's problematic. You know, I'm not here trying to support, and I'm not here trying to, the journalist is blameless. In this message, I'm not seeing anything wrong with it. But if he did, in fact, act in a weird way, I would still call it out. I'm just worried about this personality cult that sometimes I pick up where, for instance, a tweet that just came through, I saw it and I just giggled. Someone says, "Hi, Clement. Many journalists are plants of the establishment. Mkhwanazi has proof if he responds like this." How do you know that? How do you know that? And I'm glad that, we're going to be watching very closely what's going to happen at this commission of inquiry. There are two things I'm looking forward to. One, I really hope that, the inquiry is going to hear the full details of what has been alleged, because I think it's wild. And I think we've seen elements of truths popping up here and there. So I hope there's going to be action there on that front, right? Two, there are certain allegations that have also been made, like, for instance, the judiciary. I want to see the evidence that General Mkhwanazi has that the judiciary is somehow involved. Because I do think that if that is the case, then we're in trouble as a country. And that's not something we should be taking lightly. Whoever judge, magistrate, justice is going to be spoken about at that inquiry must be taken to the JSC as a matter of urgency. So I'm looking forward to him revealing that evidence to that inquiry. Number three, I want to see these journalists, because clearly there are journalists that are receiving monies from drug, cartels. That must also be exposed at this inquiry, because whichever journalist is doing that needs to be exposed. I hope we're not going to sit with the situation where some of the allegations that are made are not substantiated at the inquiry. I hope not. I really hope not. Because we've been here before. Remember when Thabo Mbeki, the former president, established a commission of inquiry against Mak Maharaj? Because Mak Maharaj got too excited and went on and said, "Oh, Bulelani Ngcuka," him and, was it Moshe? They said, "Bulelani Ngcuka is a spy." What happened? The former president, Thabo Mbeki, establishes a commission of inquiry. What did that commission of inquiry find? Mak Maharaj didn't have any evidence of that. Didn't have any evidence. It was just an allegation he made. Because why? We live in a country where people we love the most can just make allegations about people and we go with it without questioning it. The Commission of Inquiry concluded its work. I had Mak Maharaj on this show and I asked him, would you apologize to Bulelani Ngcuka? And he said, yeah, maybe we should, organize. He asked me, actually, Mak Maharaj asked me to organize a meeting with Bulelani Ngcuka, and I went to Bulelani Ngcuka and I said, hey, because I've also had Bulelani Ngcuka on the show. I interviewed him about his book. And I said, hey, Mak wants to apologize. He wants to make things right. Can we organize coffee? I still want to do that because I think that would be a nice ending to the story where Mak Maharaj is going to say, ish, askis, hade, brayak. And Bulelani can say, it's okay. It's done. Let's move on. All I'm saying is we must take seriously what Mkhwanazi says. And I think there are many things he said that are somehow evidenced through the recent events. And we are eternally grateful to him for revealing that to us. But please, let's not think that because people have done things that we are so grateful for, then we somehow fail to question any other thing they do. You can still love Mkhwanazi and find some problematic. You can still like me and still find some problematic things about me. I can still like Cyril Ramaphosa or Julius Malema and still think, man, here they did something wrong. It doesn't mean you hate them.